Hello everyone, and welcome to Man with a Plan. How many times have you tried to start a new routine or a new habit, only to drop it faster than a greased up ferret the second your motivation gave out? You were pumped up, you had a plan, and then all of a sudden your willpower hit rock bottom and you gave up before truly getting started. Over the last few months, I've been studying relentlessly and I've worked very hard to bring you the ultimate guide to self-discipline. It's a guide that I've made so simple anybody can do it. It's a step-by-step guide, so all you have to do is follow the steps in order.
You're supposed to be learning self-discipline here.
Over the last few months, I've given up smoking, among many other things, other bad habits that I've quit, and I've started loads of good ones. Everything I've included in this video is a golden nugget of information. I've made sure of it, so make sure you do not skip a beat. So without further ado, welcome to Man with a Plan and our ultimate guide to building self-discipline. Let's have a look at what discipline is and why you need it. So there's two types of people in this world. There's those who are in the driver's seat and those who are tied to the bumper being dragged along. Discipline puts you in the driver's seat. Self-discipline is the magic wand that turns I could or I should into I did. Discipline is a promise you make to your future self. It's the bridge between who you are and who you will become. It's getting up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym while your bed whispers sweet promises of warmth and comfort. It's choosing to eat broccoli and ignore the McDonald's burger calling you like a greasy siren. It's opening the book, doing the push-ups and pursuing your goals even when your brain is screaming let's just do it tomorrow. Discipline is a choice to suffer today in exchange for success tomorrow. Nobody is coming to save you. There's no coach, no boss, no magical success fairy is going to burst into your living room and slap the tube of Pringles out of your hand and shout run a mile. It's all on you, and that's a good thing because anything in this life worth having takes hard work and sacrifice. Once you're able to discipline yourself like your own personal drill sergeant, you'll be leagues above everyone else.
You willing to make some sacrifice?
Discipline isn't punishment. Discipline isn't saying no because you secretly hate yourself. It's saying yes to the stuff that actually matters because you love yourself enough to be the best version of you. Lazy people think that being disciplined means being miserable. They don't realise that it's actually the opposite. Being disciplined gives you the freedom to do the things that are actually important to you. It's not about sticking it to your haters or living up to someone else's Instagram highlight reel. Discipline doesn't care about external applause. It's built on a foundation of raw, unshakable self-respect. You do it because you're worth it and you know it. It's a common misconception that discipline is something that some people are just born with and that others aren't. That couldn't be further from the truth, because discipline isn't some magical trait handed out by a fairy godmother at birth. It's not a gift, it's a skill that we can train. Nobody is born with discipline, it must be trained like a muscle. It's a skill that you build through repetition, patience, and stubbornness. Now that we've established exactly what discipline is and why it's so important to you, I will now present to you something I put a lot of study, practice, and effort into these last few weeks. This is my step-by-step guide to building self-discipline. Step 1 is to stop being you and be that person. If you're watching this video today, it's probably because to some extent you identify as an undisciplined person and thus the video's title appealed to you. Now, whilst I am incredibly grateful that this mindset brought you here today, our actions are often based on our mindset, and so if we view ourselves as undisciplined we shall become. All of the things that you do stems from how you do or don't see yourself. So, if you want to change how you act, you have to rewire your subconscious to believe that you already are the person that acts. Here's why it works. Mindset dictates actions. So if you see yourself as lazy, you'll have the perfect excuse for being lazy. If you see yourself as disciplined, you'll naturally behave that way. And actions create evidence. Every small action that you take towards who you want to be is more proof of the better person that you're becoming. So here's how you become that person. You want to start by asking, what kind of person achieved the results that I want? Then, imagine that person's mindset and adopt it for yourself. So if your goal is to get fit, you tell yourself, I am someone who does not skip workouts. If you want to be the kind of person who is productive, you tell yourself, I'm the kind of person who plans my day and gets things done and on time. Don't wait until you begin to feel like this new person. Start living as if you already are, because from this moment on, you are. Let's say you want to be fit. You better go and show up for that workout, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Or let's say you want to be productive. Organise your desk and plan tomorrow's tasks tonight. The goal here is to build evidence every day. Your brain needs proof to believe the new identity. Every time you take a small action that aligns with the new identity, you're stacking evidence towards it. You're telling your subconscious that you are one thing, and then you're providing it with the proofs. And thus, the good habits become more natural to you over time. Your subconscious mind is a superpower once you learn how to use it as a tool. You can't step into a new identity whilst dragging your old one behind you. Let go of all of the excuses and the habits that define the old you, and be born again. I'm not saying to give up your character completely and become a blank slate. We are only getting rid of the negative sides of ourselves. So here's how to reject your old negative identity. Number 1 is to catch negative self-talk. Instead of saying, I've always been a lazy person, say, I used to be a lazy person, but I'm not anymore. Step 2 is to visualize the shift. Write down your old identity and physically destroy it. Burn it, rip it up, throw it away. And whenever you re-encounter it, reject it fully. Say, I can't believe that I used to live like that. Number 3 is to replace bad habits with good ones. So for every bad habit you drop, add a new one that aligns with your new identity. Let's talk a little bit about affirmations. I can always tell if somebody's going to stick to a new habit or not because of the way they phrase it when they tell me about it. It's very subtle, but the subconscious mind can be used as an open window into a person's deeper thought processes. If somebody tells me that they're going to try and start working out, then I already know that they won't stick to it because they're going into the task with the mindset that they are trying it. I know that subconsciously they already hold the belief that they will not stick to it, and whatever the subconscious believes will play out in reality. If somebody was to come to me and say, look at this workout routine that I'm going to follow for the next few months, I'd be much more inclined to believe them. It's important how we use our language to speak to ourselves. It shapes our mindset and in turn our actions. To rewire your subconscious, you use affirmations. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this on our next video, but for now I'll give you the necessary details. We need to catch negative self-talk immediately and replace it with positive self-talk. This requires intense focus and awareness of yourself. It requires hyper-consciousness. Here are some examples of positive self-talk. I'm the kind of person who values my health. I'm somebody who gets things done well and on time. I'm the kind of person who saves money because I value my future. Repeat these affirmations to yourself. When your actions align with who you are, discipline becomes effortless. You don't have to force it anymore. You don't have to rely on willpower. It's just what people like you do. Don't think of it as changing what you do. You're changing who you are. Every small action you take is proof that you are that person who shows up, gets things done, and becomes unstoppable. Step number 2 is to set the stage for success. So here's some good news for you. You aren't failing because you're lazy, even though it sometimes feels that way. It's way more likely that you're just bad at setting the stage for your own success. Your environment can either work for you or against you, and 90% of the time it's the latter. Your environment is like a giant magnet pulling you in one direction or the other. The key to discipline is to rig your environment in your favour so that you're pulled towards your goals and not away from them. Your brain is dumb. It doesn't do what's best for you. It doesn't make decisions based on willpower or long-term success. It wants to follow the path of least resistance and do whatever's in front of you, whatever's easiest at that time. So if your environment is filled with distractions or your fridge is filled with junk food, then it's no wonder that you're failing. So what's the solution to this? You rig your surroundings so that good habits feel as natural as breathing and bad habits feel like climbing Mount Everest in Crocs. So we basically want to make bad habits as unattainable as possible and we want our good habits to be easily accessible and impossible to ignore. So here's how you do that. Step 1 is to set up triggers for good habits. Good habits should be in our faces at all times. You basically want your environment to be screaming, "Be a better person." Here's a few examples for you. If you wanted to exercise more, you could put your running shoes by the door or even on top of your morning clothes. If you wanted to read more, you could leave your book on your pillow or next to your coffee maker. If you see it, you're more likely to read it. If you wanted to stay more hydrated, you could keep a water bottle on your desk so that you'll sip it without even thinking. These things may seem simple, and that's because they are really. But I hear some of you saying that you would just ignore the running shoes or the book and go and do something else. Well, first of all, that's called having a failure mindset from the get-go, which you need to eliminate if you want to have any chance of becoming disciplined. Secondly, let's take a look at how we can make our bad habits very unappealing. Bad habits thrive on convenience. Make them inconvenient, and they'll stop being so tempting. What's even better is booting them from your life entirely. Here's a few examples. So let's say you're a bit addicted to social media. Log out of your accounts after every session, or move the app to a hidden folder on your phone. Better yet, if social media has a negative grip on your life, which it almost definitely does if you're addicted to it, then delete the apps completely like I did years ago. I only look at social media now when people show me videos of puppies on their phones, and I regret nothing. If you've got a habit of late night snacking, then don't buy any junk food when you go to the shop. It's easy to resist when you're at the store because you don't get the immediate gratification from eating it anyway. Later on, you may have temptations, but you'll have no choice but to stick to your routine because your cupboards are filled with healthy food. If you want sugar, buy fruit. Let's say you have a habit of gaming over being productive. You could ask your roommate or your partner to hide your controller and refuse to reveal the location to you until you've completed all of your good habits. Or let's say you have a habit of staying in bed too long. You could set an alarm clock on the opposite side of your room, where you have to get up to turn it off, and then immediately make your bed so you don't crawl straight back in. Have a bit of fun with it and get creative with yours. These are just my examples. The better the obstacle course you can make, the easier it will be to resist your bad habits. Your brain hates extra effort. Once we've started small and built some kind of routine, we want to start taking the bigger steps. Cancel your streaming subscriptions until you have your life where you want it to be. Once you've made it in life, watching TV will be the last thing that you want to spend your free time doing. If you want to waste valuable living time, fine, but you have to earn that right first. Delete the apps that are taking up your time for little to no benefit to yourself. Bin your cigarettes, junk food, anything that isn't helping you become a better you. I'm sure you know what's causing you to relapse, so give them an emotional farewell. Once you're successful and are exactly where you want to be in life, feel free to pick these habits back up. Nobody's going to stop you. But I would wager that by the time that happens, you won't even be slightly tempted to go back to them. It's like being Neo in the Matrix. Once you've truly lived, it's hard to go back to what most consider reality.
Your brain is hooked on the shit the Matrix has been force-feeding you for years.
People say that showing up is half the battle. However, I would argue that it's much more than half. Discipline is built by showing up every single day, no matter how small the step. Therefore, we want to start off with microscopic victories. Of course, we don't want to stay small forever, and we don't want to shy away from challenges, but to give yourself the best chance when starting out, you start small. Countless times I've tried to quit all of my bad habits and pick up multiple good ones at once. Take my word for it, it doesn't work. I always felt that I'd power through and be the one exception to the rule. However, it never lasted more than a few days. So what you do is you start small and you add more to your plate once you're comfortable. Your desire to rush to the end result will only slow you down in the long run. So it may seem counterintuitive, but to reach the end result quickly, you need to go slow and steady. You aren't going to overhaul your life in a day and stay consistent with it. No one ever has. So let's take a look at why starting small works.
You've got to start small.
Number 1 is no overwhelm. You'll build momentum without biting off more than you can chew. Number 2 is consistency is better than intensity. It's better to do 5 squats every day than to crush a 2-hour gym session and then disappear like Bigfoot, never to be seen again. Number 3 is lower resistance. Your lazy brain won't fight back when you know that the habit is easily achievable. That's how you trick it into cooperating. It isn't so much about making life easy, it's more about proving to yourself that you can show up every day. You work out your willpower muscle and build discipline by showing up. That's how it's done. This circle here represents your comfort zone. Now, when you start out and you're making your new habits, you want to put them just outside of your comfort zone here, hovering just on the edge. If you put them too far inside, it won't be difficult enough to provide a challenge, it won't build any discipline at all. And if you put them too far outside, it'll be impossible and you'll give up. So hovering just on the edge here. Some examples of this would be doing 20 push-ups in the morning when you wake up. You could write 100 words on something that matters to you, maybe a book or a journal, something like that. Or you could read 10 pages of a non-fiction book before going to bed at night. These tasks are all small, but they're also achievable, and what they're going to do over time is build discipline. Now, what's going to happen when you take these small actions is that you will start wanting to do more and pushing yourself a little bit further. Once you've done your 20 push-ups in the morning, your blood rushing, heart pumping, you'll want to do another 10. You are welcome to, but don't hold yourself to it at the moment. It's imperative that you begin by focusing on the small task that you set out to do. If you do any more, that should just be a bonus for now. Remember, you're not doing these habits because they'll change your life overnight. You're doing them because they prove to yourself that you can act consistently, and that's how you build your willpower muscle. 20 push-ups every day might seem small, but you know what else seems small? 1 drop of water in the ocean, 1 brick in a wall, 1 footstep on a 1,000-mile journey. The people who get somewhere in life, they show up daily and they stack those tiny wins. It is boring, it's unsexy, but it works. Of course, we eventually want to add more to our plate. I'm not going to let you stay a small fry forever, so we will come back to this later and build on these small habits. So now you've implemented small habits into your routine. Of course, that's all well and good to start off with, but I know you want big things for yourself, so eventually you need to scale those small habits up. If you aren't sure if you're ready to scale up yet, you're probably not. You will know when you're ready because you will be yearning for more action. It could be a matter of days, it could be a month, but anything longer than that, I'd start encouraging you to get a bit of a move on. So after we've been hitting our small targets for a while, we want to do a little bit of reflecting on what's been going well so far and what hasn't. So the first thing we want to do before scaling up is reflecting on our wins. Reflection is a tool to understand what's been driving your successes. So ask yourself these questions. What's been working? For example, having my running shoes by my bed has made it easier to slip into them and straight out of the door. What didn't work? Example, trying to work out after dinner was tough because I felt too tired, didn't have the energy. Doing it in the morning is better. How did this habit make me feel? For example, completing 7 days of 20 push-ups gave me a sense of accomplishment and made me feel much stronger. And finally, what can I improve? For example, I could add a short warm-up before my push-ups to avoid feeling stiff. Now I'm going to show you how to scale up those habits in a way that's sustainable and doesn't send you crashing into a cake-fueled pity session.
No cake.
So it's very simple. All you want to do is add small increments to what we're already doing. When you're ready to scale, don't jump from 20 push-ups to 100. You'll just pull a muscle, hate life and quit. Instead, add small increments. Remember, you want to be just outside of your comfort zone. It's a challenge, but not a death sentence. How much you can do can only be decided by you. For example of scaling, 20 push-ups every morning becomes 25 push-ups every morning. 100 words a day becomes 150 words a day. Reading 5 pages becomes reading 8 pages. Now some of you might say, but I'll get nowhere going this slowly. I need to be successful by next week. Building yourself up in this way is the fastest way. Take it from me. It snowballs very quickly. In the past, when I've been lazy and fall out of my workout routine, I ease back into it like this. I pick the lift I enjoy the most, which is bench press. My first few workouts, when I'm at my most undisciplined, consist only of that one lift. After those few workouts of just the bench press, I'm rearing to go. This isn't enough, I think. I need more. I want more. So I had 2 more compound lifts, 3 lifts in total now. I do that for a week or 2. Once again, I reach a stage where I crave more. It begins to feel like my workouts end before I've even gotten properly started. And that's when I add isolation exercises to the routine. After a month, I'm fully in the swing of things and it never stops mounting up. I have a big workout routine that takes sort of an hour, 2 hours, and it consists of many, many lifts. And I ease into it like that. The final step is to reward yourself for your good behaviour. I'll keep this step brief because I think it speaks for itself and I'm a bit worried about how long this video is going to turn out. Our brains love dopamine. It's why we get addicted to all of the negative habits. They spike us with feel-good chemicals and trick us into believing that we want and need them. We need to reprogram ourselves so that we associate that dopamine hit with our positive habits. Therefore, every time you achieve something, give yourself something in return. I'm not saying have a workout and then eat an entire tub of ice cream, nor am I saying read a few pages of a book in exchange for binging an entire TV series. But you do want to give yourself a little dopamine hit after completing your tasks. For me, this is usually where I allow myself to indulge a little bit in my phone. I do my best to keep it relatively productive, like with a book or an educational video, but sometimes I do think screw it and I indulge myself on a little argument that I've seen people having in YouTube comments. But don't take this as an excuse to slack off. When I use this tactic, it's only after I've been working extremely hard, often for hours, and I ensure that I never spend more than a couple of minutes on trivial things like this. I am at the stage where I can control my usage. You will not be yet, but do not worry. The best thing about eliminating bad habits is that once they're gone, you realise you don't really miss them at all. So it comes to a point where a piece of fruit or dark chocolate or an educational YouTube video becomes enough of a reward to give you that dopamine spike. You have to detox your spiked dopamine first to realise how tolerant to it you've become. Fruit begins to taste extremely sweet once you eliminate the unhealthy sugars from your diet. Dopamine is a chemical, it's a drug, and just like any drug, you gain tolerance to it over time. These corporations and powerful people are purposely raising our dopamine levels to heights never before witnessed in human history, so that they can have a stranglehold over us, because the more that we consume, the wealthier they become. We all know this to some extent, but it's hard to fully fathom the true extent of it until you escape the trap that they've set for you. So get mad, get angry, take back your life, starting right now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've made it this far through, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know what you'd like to see from me. Give me some feedback, and I'll see you in the new year. All the best.